Welcome to the very first official The Three Ways podcast. It's funny that we're calling this official because we've been doing it for about 4 or 5 months live on Instagram. So we accidentally stumbled upon, wow, we have a podcast here. iHeart said, absolutely. We're so happy to back this podcast. So today marks the first official day of the Three Ways podcast. My name is Sandy Ames. I am a hypnotherapist. I have two of my favorite people on the planet here playing together. So Francesca, let's talk about you first.
Hi, Sandy. So nice to be together, guys. The three ways for me is the best idea of living life, as there is not only one way. So who am I? I'm Francesca D'Amico. I'm a spiritual coach, holistic coach too, as I do a bit of everything. It's all about love. I believe in the power for connection and love, which is basically participation fully to what we are living at the present moment. As like that, we truly connect, we advance spiritually, but not only, we can also transform from our experiences while we connect. So I believe connection is the key for transformation and awareness.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And I'm Glenn Rottmann. I'm also a hypnotherapist. We are all connected in very unique ways. Sandy and I went to the same hypnotherapy school and we do the same thing. We both work with clients. However, we're also a little bit different. I am a stage hypnosis, stage hypnotist. I do a lot of entertainment performances and I mix that with my hypnotherapy. Sandy has an amazing background as a radio host and knows how to connect and talk and share. And she uses that gift with her hypnotherapy. So we all have a lot of fun. And Francesca kind of ties it all together with love and passion. So we have a lot of fun to share. And on top of that, some amazing topics about life. And we don't only just share our own perspective, but we share the perspective with our clients that we get in those unique ways of connecting with people. So yes, that's what this is all about. So welcome everybody. This is the official first one. Woo. And we're going to dive into some fun stuff, right, Sandy?
Yeah. So what does the three ways mean? We're three different people with very distinctively different personalities, and we also love each other. We're genuinely friends. and we see it all differently and we say it all differently. Francesca, you're from Italy.
I'm from Italy, from Sicily, and what I want to precise is that we love debating, but it's never fighting. So that's what also people should do, should debate more and fight less, because confrontation is so important, as we also do all the time together.
Exactly. And I'm a Jewish mother. So when my clients are also with a similar background, our voices are up here. We're working together. And it's like, I love you too.
Amazing.
And so you're from Sicily, you live in London, and you travel all the time. So if people follow you, Francesca, on Instagram, they can see every day a new picture from a new paradise. Anywhere you are, it's paradise.
Oh, thank you, Sandy.
Yes.
Even right here.
I travel a lot within my soul, I believe. I believe the travel of the soul, which is the advancement, spiritual advancement we were talking about, is truly important in today's world. So I'm, of course, lucky sometimes I can travel, but I believe I travel every day, even with you guys.
You definitely do. You definitely spread that love energetically all the time, everywhere, even when you're right here. And Glenn, you're in LA.
Yes, Los Angeles. And this is definitely going to be a year of traveling. And I'm going to so many amazing places that we'll be sharing on my Instagram and just with us along the way. So we have, when you're in I believe we have more than one purpose in life. We have many, but when you're in purpose, life takes you some amazing places. And when you make that awareness decision to be in a purpose, and that's what we do. We help people remove their limitations so they can get into that purpose. And
I think, Glenn, what you're talking about is creating deliberately instead of by default.
Yes.
When I lived in LA for 3 years, because Glenn, you and I were both born in New Jersey, but you're an LA guy and I'm a New York City person. I'm in New York City now, but I did do 3 years in LA. That's where I went to school, where you went to school. There was this amazing yoga teacher. I'm sure he's still there. His name is Eric Schiffman. And he once talked about whenever you're in any yoga pose, your chin is always somewhere. Your chin is always in the yoga pose. Even if you're not thinking about your chin, most of the time, people are not thinking about their chin, but it always shows up somewhere in the yoga pose. And where your chin is going to have a whole lot to do with how your alignment is.
Mm-hmm.
So your chin can be there by default, which it always is, or you can place your chin deliberately to just create a different shape. So whether you're creating your life by default or deliberately, it's happening anyway. And once you realize where's my chin, then you can use that to guide you through life.
Yeah, it's so true.
Even to be able to enable our intuitions, our instinct by doing mistakes, to opening ourselves, not being scared to receive and to give, because this exchange gives us through intentional work and also through intuition of feeling things for what they are, looking beyond, not necessarily looking at the facts.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason this podcast became something that lives, it started as something fun, right? And this episode is really about, hey, this is who we are. This is why we're here. So it's a little bit different than the other ones have been that we will be posting, the ones that were on Instagram and the ones to come. This is sort of like, hey, this is who we are. I'd love to start with how it all went down, because this threesome has become almost more about the relationship of this friendship, more so than the topics we talk about themselves. But when we get there, man, we chew on them. It's fascinating to me. So how it started from my perspective is you two already had something going for a couple weeks, right? So how did that go? And then I'll jump in where I knew that it existed. So how, Francesca, I think you started.
Yes, I had to, of course, no secrets along our podcast, and I truly feel energies of people, and most of the time I really want to get to know someone. I like the energy because I like to go deep within soul matters. So when I admire someone, even just by feeling the energy of someone, looking at the face sometimes, I just want to get to know the person better. Of course, not on a superficial level, as I could see that Glenn, when it appeared on my Instagram page, I felt he was doing an amazing work. And his way of openness, his way of talking to people and about people really got impressed in my mind.
So you didn't just think Glenn was hot. That was just part of it.
It's my long flowing hair.
I don't want to talk about aesthetics, Sandy.
So Glenn
Women
pops up
can't
on your
resist,
Instagram.
Sandy. They can't resist the
It's
hair.
not just about
from above.
No.
You. It looks like you're coming down from the heavens in that picture behind you.
I want to precise, Sandy. It's about the energy, not hotness and beauty, which is, of course, everywhere on Instagram.
All right, so Glenn pops up on your Instagram. He happens just factually to be the world's most watched hypnotherapist. So you found him. You found him on Instagram.
I didn't even look at how much he's watched. I felt the energy of a kind soul that I had to meet to spread good messages into the world. But of course, I didn't know Glenn would have accepted. So what I did, I texted him and we connected immediately. We said, okay, let's do a podcast. We talked about hypnotherapy, which we are all very passionate about, as for me, it is the best therapy of gaining consciousness. And I truly admire you guys for what you're doing. So we got in touch and we started talking. Then it was not enough. We decided to do our live sessions because we wanted to continue the connection. And that's how people truly should meet, talking, communicating. Because as we said, sorry, Sandy, I know you were teasing me. Yeah, I'm not going against you, of course. But hotness doesn't mean anything because sometimes people appear in a way, but they're totally something else. So it's very important to go deep within connection. So it's very nice to be open to others.
All right. So this was what, like in the summer, like July, August? When was that?
It was last year in July. No, in March, I think.
Yeah, it was the early part of last year.
Yeah,
oh, okay. So in March or so of 2022, you guys connect on the internet because you feel Glenn's vibrant energy. And you completely missed how handsome he was, but that's just extra now.
You're handsome too, Sandy.
And so then you started doing a couple Instagram lives.
Yeah. And we had amazing recognition, either for the connection we had, but also for the things we were talking about. Many friends were telling me, Franci is my favorite transmission channel to watch on Sunday. We laugh. Sometimes we get super scared of what you're talking about because we don't have any idea of what it is. So we open the mind of people as we do together, all of us, the three of us.
Which is something that is such an uncomfortable, in a good way, uncomfortable space for me, because in radio and TV, you got to get it in, get it out, get out. You know what I mean? Like there's none of this. So this for me is a space of, wait, am I in trouble? Is there dead air? What are we talking about? Did we get to the point? Right. And in my brain, as we're talking, I'm like, edit point, cut that, move, right? But we don't edit. We just let it fly. And it's really become about relationships, which is a scary place in and of itself. We're going to talk about relationships a little later in this episode. But Glenn, now from your perspective, so Francesca reaches out to you. Obviously, you didn't look at all what she looks like. You just felt her energy too, right?
Yeah, I didn't look at her all.
Yeah. So from your perspective, is it the same? You just kind of just started doing these Instagram lives?
I looked at her Instagram page and some of it's in Italian. I'm like, well, it looks cool. I don't know what she's saying, but she's saying it in a nice way. And just her excitement about connecting, her excitement about sharing, and her excitement about talking is something I really liked. And so I'm like, cool. I have a habit, or I've had a habit of doing everything on my own. Everything that I've built on YouTube, on Instagram, on my online community now, which is growing leaps and bounds, it's always been on my own. And I'm like, this is nice to be able to do something with someone else and kind of share instead of just having to always drive it myself. And so I really like that idea. And plus, just watching her clips and watching that she has the courage to reach out to anyone and everyone on this universe. It's like nothing holds her back. So I'm like, all right, she's talked to some really cool people. Let's do this. And then that,
Francesca, that says so much for you, because on any given day, without exaggeration, there are about 20 million people in line who would love to text Glenn and have Glenn text them back. And he is just focus is sacrifice, right? No to them, and zoomed right in on, he felt some kind of connection with you.
Yes, connection, the energy is the main thing for building a true connection, because as we said, what it looks sometimes is not what is for real.
Yeah. And then we just started to bring people on to our Instagram live, and I would hypnotize them. Francesca would talk to them about whatever they're dealing with. And then we would just start hypnotizing people on Instagram live, having some fun. And
I was introducing Glenn while he was hypnotizing people, and people loved it so much.
Yeah, which we will continue to do. And it just became, we've had actually, and then when we'll talk about you joining us, but we've had some really nice moments with people on Instagram Live where they've made some breakthroughs and they've had some experiences, and we get to share in that. And that's what makes this different. Nobody else does this. Yeah, some people will do some talk therapy, or some people will do maybe some coaching work on an Instagram Live or a podcast, but they don't do what we do, where we actually go in that moment, we'll make a change on somebody and we'll share our gift and we'll dive in to hypnotherapy on Instagram Live, which nobody does but us.
Very true.
And we get to share that with the world. And I just knew that this is something that needs to continue and it needs to grow. And as we have in our Instagram lives, when I come across interesting people, we bring them on. You know, we brought my vocal coach, Roger, on, who was so spiritual and such a loving guy. You loved him the second you met him. We brought the amazing Laura, who's going to be walking very, very soon out of her wheelchair on. And then I came across Sandy, who I never knew before. I knew of her through our mutual friend and mentor, Michelle. And I thought, well, Sandy has the gift of gab, and she has a lot of energy.
Amazing energy.
I think her and Francesca would be a lot of fun together. So we brought Sandy on for a segment, and then we decided to keep her on.
So yeah. And it's amazing because this podcast that you two started, tens of thousands, and some certain weeks, even upwards of 100,000 views, to the point that now when it doesn't happen, we take a week off. People are like, where were you? Or sorry, I missed you this week. Right.
Yes, very true.
And again, mind blowing to my religion of no dead air. Mind blowing, because so much of the time spent within this podcast is personality, and not so much did we get to the point yet. But points always get gotten somehow, and then it leads to interesting places because it's so free to be wide open, and that's such a scary place for me as a broadcaster. So here's where the story, when I came in about a year and a half ago, so before you guys met, this article came out about me in The Guardian.
That's right. I remember now.
And it took my small, little, nice, happy, cozy hypnotherapy practice here in New York City into, and instantly I had to bring on 6 people because it crashed my website, and it was great. It was huge. So I reached out to Michelle, our mentor in LA. I said, Michelle, help. Here's what happened. 2,000 people just emailed me in the last 5 minutes. It keeps going. What do I do? Where do I send all these people? They want hypnotherapy. And she said, I got you, babe. And so she quickly put together a group of hypnotherapists she thought would be amazing. Glenn was one of them. And we had a little Zoom of this, what I call the elite team. And I said to everybody on the elite team, look, we all just have to check our pricing, because I want everybody to have a fair, no matter which one of us they get, they're paying the same price, no games. And I want it listed publicly on your website. So we're just no games, very fair. And Glenn was the only one on the call, and we'd never met before. Glenn was the only one on the call who said, gosh, that seems so lovely, but I'd have to lower my prices. So
yeah,
he was lovely, but that was the end of that. He's like, I don't need to be on your elite team. Thank you very much. Good luck to all of you. Goodbye.
It was more about my schedule too. I'm in a different category than most because of my online community, and I literally run ads all over the planet that have, at this point, millions of views on my ads because they run everywhere every day. So because of that, by default, my personal schedule gets booked. And so I talked to Michelle about it after, because I was fine being a part of the team and even lowering my rate for that. I just couldn't fit it in.
And I love you for it. And you are, so I am in awe of you and your career, and you're teaching me so much about building my own business and how you can make money without having to show up every day, right? You build this strong online community, and then eventually it starts making money for you. Everybody should learn how to build their business in new and creative ways. And we as hypnotherapists, before the internet, it was people come into your office or they don't. And now it's expanded so much. So you're teaching me so much. So another year or so goes by, whatever it is. So now we're going back to the summer of 2022. You guys had known each other now for a few months, and my cousin calls me and says, I'm promoting this hypnosis show, and I want to bring in some well-known hypnotherapists, and if you like the show, you can help promote it and help sell tickets to the show, that sort of thing. And I said, well, I happen to know this guy. I mean, I don't really know him, but I know of this guy. We talked sort of once on a group call. He's the most famous one of all. I could get him maybe if you guys will fly him to New York. And she said, okay, yeah, call him. So I called Glenn, left a message. Within 3 seconds, he called me back. Francesca, apparently there's that similar, we got lucky, right?
But because some things I believe are meant to be, we have to believe also a bit on fate. And if things sometimes happen so fast, there is also a reason. Sometimes we have to fight. Sometimes we just have it immediately, and there is the fight that moves it forward.
Yeah, and this was no fight at all. It was all coincidence. So I called Glenn. I don't know him from anything other than a year ago group call. And I said, do you remember me? And maybe we'll fly you out to New York. He said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. But anyway, so we just got to talking. And he said, tomorrow I'm going to be doing this Instagram Live. Why don't you join us? And then 1 week led to another week, led to another week. Meanwhile, they never flew you out to New York. That went nowhere.
Yeah.
But it was just enough to get us connected. So it's, don't ever underestimate random circumstances in your life that look like they went nowhere, and then look what has occurred. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think that is something we should really explore right now and stay on right there, because that not only feeds into this, it feeds into my life. And I have definitely something I want to share in this area. that I know you both will agree with. And it was something that I heard, but until I experienced it, I never believed it. Until it happened to me, I never understood life truly works this way. So if we can, let's dive into that a little bit, because I know both of you will have so much to share on this once I open this up. Many years of my life I spent in turmoil, emotional turmoil, because I came out to LA to be a musician. I have a music tattoo on my arm. I still am. I was an excellent guitar player. Some of my chops aren't what they used to be, but I can get them back in a couple of weeks. I played in bands, I did music, I did CDs. Then, I got married, have 2 kids. I was working as a sales manager. I never got to do my full-time career as a musician. But in the back of my mind, as I'm doing my day-to-day work, I'm in business meetings, I'm negotiating invoices, and inside, part of me was just like, there's got to be more to my life than this. I am just not in where I'm supposed to be. And I always felt like a part of me was not, I don't want to say dying, but it felt like a part of me was just slowly dying, because I wasn't in connection to something that was, I was always fighting to get somewhere. I was always fighting to try to make this happen. Always
that connection you're talking about is what Francesca lives for.
Every day.
That's
every
your
day, you're right.
there. Yep.
And so in the back of my mind, in high school, I took the Silva method, which Jose Silva was he was a hypnotherapist, even though he didn't come across that way. It was on self-meditation. And it was always in my head, like this spiritual world. I knew these concepts. I knew about this, but it was always pushed to the back, about stepping into this type of work and being connected this way. And then I just, after my divorce, reanalyzed my life, and I found myself at hypnotherapy school through a bunch of other circumstances. And while I was in school, working my full-time sales manager job, I had an opportunity that came up with one very, very famous YouTuber who had her own Netflix show. She's been on all the talk shows. And I was scared. I didn't know why I was doing this. I didn't know what I was doing. What if it doesn't work? I got to her house. I hypnotized her. She was an awesome responder. She ate an onion, thought it was a delicious sweet apple. I had her do all these crazy things. I had a YouTube channel up with maybe 3 followers on it. That video came out, all of a sudden it went to a couple thousand followers. I had nothing on my channel. I had no Instagram at the time. I knew nothing of this whole world.
When was that?
That was 2017, 2018.
So your first uploading video on YouTube?
Yeah, I had some other videos, but nothing like some music videos that I did. But I had
now it's the beginning of 2023, depending on when anybody's watching this.
Yeah, so that was, I think it was 2017, maybe, right then.
So 5 or 6 years.
Then I come home and I get an email from the William Morris Agency, who's the biggest artist management agency. And they're like, hey, we want you to come work with our YouTubers. We saw your video. I'm like, cool. Then the next week I get an email from the Rhett and Link show. Rhett and Link have their own Good Mythical Morning show. They have a team. They're bigger than Ellen as far as like her show. Now, these are people I wouldn't know how to reach. These are people I would never know how to get a hold of.
Francesca would.
Francesca would. She would. Yes, she would.
I'm always curious, but then if I don't find the connection, I'm very happy to quit it, of course. But
all of a sudden, call after call started coming in from people I would never know how to reach. And those videos they're massive. The Dolan twins and James Charles, that's over 20 million views on that YouTube. So now my YouTube channel starts going, my Instagram starts going on. What's going on? Now people are asking me for sessions. Now colleges are calling me to come out and do shows there. And it was the road, it found me. The opportunities
Can I explain a point that I can see very clearly to our
Yes.
friends, of course, listening? Glenn basically focused all his life on building himself, but also focusing on the external world, missing the true connection, maybe as we all do, to himself. As soon as he started to truly connect to his nature, his potential, and who he is, it started booming. That's what, dear friends, you should also do. Connect to your true nature, because that's what happens when you make also a little bit of effort.
Yeah, it was. So all the time I spent pushing on different areas of my life, trying to make things happen. When I finally connected to what I was truly passionate about, and at the same time, I was good at it. I mean, because you can be passionate and you can suck. You can be a passionate singer with a horrible voice and nobody's going to care, right? So it also is developing a skill that is worthy that you worked on. But when those two things met, my life changed overnight. And opportunities opened up to me that I never could have found or made on my own. And that's what I want both of you to share on and to share with other people, that intention. I didn't know, and I still don't know what the road's going to lead to, but I know it's going to be good. And it's better and better every single week as new things roll in. So the intention.
You were well into your 40s at that point.
Yes. Yeah. It's never too late.
And people might ask, what's the intention about? We can say that the intention is to add a value. No matter what it is, your value, if it is a value and you want intentionally to build it, that's what happens, magic.
It is the best way to sell, the best way to sell yourself is to not sell yourself and to share yourself. And that's what we do here.
I think the biggest misconception in this concept, and the same concept you hear with 100% of these successful people in the world, this concept of allowing it to come to you. The biggest misconception, I think, is when people say, oh, right, so if I just do what feels good, then what feels good to me is to hang out on the beach. And I want to be a billionaire, so I'm going to hang out on the beach, and then I become a billionaire. And the answer is yes, because if you hang out on the beach for a few hours and then a few hours more, are you going to want to continue being on the beach, or are you going to have an impulse to go to the bathroom, to go get something to drink, to go get a shower? You always have the next right impulse for what feels best next. So somebody might say, well, my boss said I have to be in the office at 9 o'clock. But on my way to the office, I had this burning desire to go to Starbucks, which made me a little bit late to work. But while at Starbucks in line, I met someone, and that was the biggest sale of my life. As long as you feel great about every decision you make along the way, the next breadcrumb, it just unfolds. As long as you, like Joseph Campbell said, follow your bliss. It does not mean inaction. It does not mean lazy. Action is what we're made to do, but there is a massive difference between action and inspired action. And when it's inspired, you'll do more. When I'm inspired, I'm working till 3, 4 in the morning all the time. But as far as I'm concerned, I've been retired since I was about 30. and I never stop, right? It's inspired action.
So important to stress that.
Yeah.
The effort, 2 words that are out of fashion, effort and discipline. Those are the 2 most beautiful words I've ever heard, because they mean so much to me now, because it's inspired effort and it's inspired discipline.
Discipline comes also, let's precise for Glenn, from passion, doing something you like, not because you have to do it, but because you want to do it. That's passion.
Yes. I spent years doing things for other people that didn't have any purpose for me other than getting a paycheck. It was great for them, and the paycheck was good for me too, but it wasn't. I spent too much time doing tasks without my purpose and my intention. And so now, when you find it, it really does find you at the same time. But that key is effort, inspired action, because you can't just sit and do nothing, which is such a huge misconception. So even this, when people watch this podcast, or they go to Francesca's page or my page and your page now too, as it's growing, seeing what took years to build and believing it happened overnight, because it didn't happen overnight.
Didn't Oprah say something like it takes 18 years to become an overnight success?
Well, for some people, I guess, or
Also, a trick to becoming inspirational within our actions is to live different experiences, but not only by watching, by living them, because many people dream to have a beach life, to spend all the day by the beach, as Sandy said before. Then you cannot wait to look for what's happening next, because that's our nature. So to live different scenarios also brings you to this awareness of knowing what you like the most, and you feel less chaos and more intentional experiences.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And sometimes it's not always just career related. We define success too much about money, about your job. You can have a job that's just a good job, but you can have an amazing life with your friends and your family and your connections to people. Not everybody has to be a motivational speaker or has to have a giant Instagram following or has to have all these things to have a beautiful life that's in purpose. You know, if you have a beautiful relationship, beautiful friends, and your job is just okay, that's a successful life.
Totally.
If that is fulfilling for you. That wasn't fulfilling for me because my relationships weren't as good as they are now because I wasn't connected to myself in the same way.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't my path. But for many people, a job can be just a good, healthy job with a beautiful life. You know, and not everybody has to be kind of as over the top as we are with everything that we do, right? But it's okay. So yeah, so
I'm listening for what a person is thinking about as they're watching this and maybe not where they want to be. First of all three of us have been there multiple times in our lives. I was bankrupt 5 years ago. And before that, I lost millions. And then before it just, you know, up and down. And one of my favorite concepts that I teach my clients now is what I call rock bottom at the top. Because when I saw my world crumbling, only in the last few years, I spent money to keep my credit score good, and I worked hard, and I pushed and pushed until it got so big and so heavy. There were other people involved. There were legal papers involved. There was all this stuff. I couldn't do it anymore, and boom, the bottom fell out, and I lost everything to the point that I was in the grocery store at Fairway here on the Upper West Side. I was living on the last bits of savings that I had. Didn't know what was coming next. I was like, I guess I'm moving in with my mom in Florida, and I have my kid, and we're just going to go. Anyway, I was in line at Fairway, and I handed the lady my credit card, and she hands it back, and she says, I'm so sorry. Do you have another card? And I said, you mean one that works? And the woman behind me in line said, don't worry, I got you.
Wow.
And that was about 5 years ago. Thank God I understood the concept of don't take score too soon, because it wasn't at that moment I said I failed. It was at that moment that I said, what are my options now? Right.
Exactly.
And I wasn't afraid of any of it. I wasn't afraid to go work at Starbucks. I wasn't afraid to go live at my mom's house in Florida, even though I used to be a person people would line up to get my autograph because they saw me on radio or TV, and now nobody cares. And it was worth nothing. And all that money was gone. Everything was gone. Right. And so this rock bottom at the top. So then I just one foot in front of the other. I would just see another hypnotherapy client, and then they would just send me another hypnotherapy client. It wasn't enough to pay the rent. And then somebody from London found me online, which was, you know, typical, right? I would see 4 or 5 clients a week, and it was enough to just eat a little. And then she wrote about me in The Guardian, and I went from 5, 6 people in a week to more than a team of 6 could handle. Thousands and thousands of people, most of them just, you know, lost forever because I couldn't book them fast enough, and they made my website crash. And so I had a client say to me, I knew you before this, and I know you now. And if I didn't read all the press on you, I wouldn't know that anything changed. I said, well, how is a person supposed to be different? Well, I wake up in the morning, I have my coffee, I go for a run, I do yoga. Nothing really changes. And when you've already hit rock bottom, it's the best thing you can bring to the top, because you say I have nothing left to lose. And if this were stripped away again, I'd go sell bananas and I'd be happy to talk to whoever buys the bananas.
It's an amazing point. Something I want to say about these amazing stories you told us, guys, is that we should always work for what we are needed for, but we shouldn't live out of a need for others monthly, because that's when we become slaves of the external world and of others too. While sometimes we end up pleasing others because we have amazing souls, it's important to make it as a work to be needed, because that's when work goes well too. That's why, as sometimes when we make passions out of work, sometimes we lose the beauty of it. So it's very important, of course, to wanting to do this because we like it, but also to be needed for it, like you and Glenn and myself, and then to enjoy life in another way.
Yes, I hear you saying that live to work versus work to live.
Exactly. Also,
but then now I'm just listening for what is somebody screaming at their screen right now watching this. It's, well, I didn't get lucky like you. I didn't get the famous YouTuber. I didn't get William Morris calling me. I didn't get an article in the Guardian. Francesca, I don't look like you, right? What is the advice you have to that person who is taking score too soon because they're in the middle? It's not the end.
I would tell, are you overdoing it with no results? So maybe your approach is wrong. Are you doing something you really want to do, or are you doing it because you have to? And so you attract basically nothing because you are giving nothing at the end as you don't want it.
I heard you say the most brilliant thing, which is, what are your emotional reasons why?
Exactly. That's to understand the approach is the first step.
That's everything. And the reason Sandy got the article in the Guardian, and the reason that YouTube channel worked out with that YouTube star for me, was because we did the work. We were prepared when the opportunity arose.
Yes.
And the only way to do that is, you don't have to get ready if you stay ready. And so the effort we took, because if we didn't do that effort, that opportunity would have gone as quick as it came, and it wouldn't have been what it was. And I would have been right back second guessing my life again.
Glenn, if you weren't famous today, what would you do with your day?
I think now that I've learned this, and I know this about myself, I could be happy doing so many things in my life. I'll just list a few of the many, many things that would make me fulfilled and happy. And I know all those roads would lead to positive places. I would be happy restoring classic cars. I'm a mechanic. I'm a weekend warrior with mechanics and engines.
Practical, Glenn.
I could open up a shop, restore cars, and love every minute rebuilding a carburetor, trying to get this machine part fabricated. I could do that. I could do the same with motorcycles. I love motorcycles. I could have a motorcycle shop and fine-tune people's motorcycles and work on there. And I'd find purpose. I'd find passion doing that. I could list so many things now that I understand how it works that interest me. Music obviously was my first passion in life. I would be maybe in the production world. I could be very happy and full of purpose in production.
And when we talk about who we are and what we do, and your production and your music and your motorcycles and your engines and things, these are all big picture romanticized ideas of life, because everyone, I don't care if you're on vacation in Hawaii or if you're working hard in a small town in Ohio, we all wake up in the morning the same way. Most of us have coffee or something like it. Most of us have breakfast or something like it. Those of us who are treating ourselves a little better will do some exercise or meditation. No matter where we are, we're all doing the same thing with our day anyway.
Our emotions change us. Yes, we are different because of the emotions we feel. So
it's how we approach what we're doing emotionally.
Or I would just be a pilot, a certified flight instructor. That's another one of my passions, aviation. I have my license. I would just teach aviation. So there's so many things for all of us that you could do. You as well, Sandy. You can go back to the DJ world if you really wanted to do that. And maybe it's a little different now than when you did it, but
I
there's
still
other
do
opportunities.
it, by the way. I'm still on the radio.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right. That's right.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, as Jamie Lee on 106.7 Light FM.
Why can't we use your name? Why is it Jamie Lee? Why can't it just be Sandy?
When I started, I was Sandy Ames at 95.5 PLJ here in New York. And about 3 weeks into it, Scott Shannon, who most people have heard of Scott Shannon because he's uber famous in radio, Hall of Fame famous. Anyway, Scott Shannon, who was my boss at the time, called me at home. I was on the other line long distance with my mother, and call waiting clicked. That's how long ago it was. So I didn't know who was calling. And so I'm like, oh, okay, somebody's calling, Mom. Hold on. You want to make it fast because you're paying for long distance. I'm like, hello? Hey, Jamie. That's how he talks. Hey, Jamie. And I'm like, I knew it was Scott. So I just said yes. He forgot my name, but that's okay. And he said, Jamie Lee, that's your name now. Sandy Ames is too boring. It's the same synonyms and consonants. It's syllables and consonants. It's the same synonyms and consonants. This is Sandy Ames, a boring name. Boring. It's not Hollywood enough. From now on, you're Jamie Lee, because Monkey Boy said that'd be a good name for you because you androgynous like Jamie Lee. That was it. I didn't ask any questions.
I get that.
Yeah, so I just said, okay, bye, Scott. Bye, Jamie Lee. And the next day I wrote Jamie Lee really big and I put it in front of the mic at PLJ. And I was Jamie Lee. So then I got a TV show. So I'm Jamie Lee on the radio and I'm Jamie Lee on TV. Then I lose the radio show, but I'm stuck with Jamie Lee on TV. Then I get another radio job as Jamie Lee. I lose the TV show, but I'm still stuck in radio as Jamie Lee. And now, as a hypnotherapist, I'm just me. I'm just Sandy Ames. And what do you know? iHeartRadio picks up my podcast, Rockstar Changemaking, and they're supporting me in such a big way. Thank you, iHeart. They're promoting the Sandy Ames podcast. Go to lightfm.com. I'm on the front page as Sandy Ames. You can't find Jamie Lee anywhere in their advertising. So when I'm on the radio, I can promote people's podcasts, of course, for iHeart, but I don't promote Sandy's podcast because that I think would be just weird. So I'm just two different people.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Guys, since our friends, of course, are going to follow this amazing intro, what should they expect? Since we are going to close it soon, just because it's the intro, what do they expect from us? Which kind of experience they're going to listen to? Do we want to say it?
Yes. Well, what makes us unique is this is going to be a combination of a traditional podcast and Instagram. Not traditional, no. But the interaction we have, what makes this so much fun is every time we jump on a live, we bring people on, we answer comments, it becomes something different than we could ever plan. And that leads us to amazing, amazing breakthroughs over topics and life changes and life strategies.
Life-changing, really.
So you never know. You're going to hear us hypnotize people. You're going to hear us talk about things. You're going to hear people come on and laugh and cry. And
we're going to share secrets, of course, without saying any names or experiences.
And you have three different distinct professionals who are sought out globally. And when the same topic is thrown at all three of us, often we approach it very differently. So people should know that. People should know that there are always options, even with the quote unquote best.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, really, there's one option. There's one guy that's right, and there's two girls that are wrong.
What happens is there are only two kinds of people. There are only two kinds of people: those who like country music and those who are idiots.
Yeah.
Can I close with an image that you guys are going to love? So they did this study a long time ago. I'm sure you can look up the footage of it somewhere. It's black and white film. And they have one little boy in like the 1920s, little boy clothes and the little cap, right? And the shiny little shoes. And then two girls in their cute little dresses, right? So one little boy and two little girls, I don't know, maybe 5 years old or so. They put them on the stoop and they gave each of the Oh no, they gave the boy an ice cream cone. They gave the boy an ice cream cone, but not the girls. And the girl, they just filmed and watched what happened. The boy's eating his ice cream cone, and the girls are like, "Hey, you have to share with us." He's like, "No, it's mine. They gave it to me. It's mine." And the girls are like, "No, but you have to share with us. We didn't get any." So I want to like. The girls ate the boy's entire ice cream cone, right? Now they give just the girls the ice cream cones and not the boy. And the boy's like, "Can I have some of yours now?" They're like, "No, you had yours." Done.
Or actually, yes, on your face, baby.
Yeah,
Just to
that's
lick
it.
the face even more.
In a nutshell, that's it. Absolutely. That's beautiful. So good.
So in this podcast, dear friends, anything can happen. Tradition and unconventional. We don't have any rules, just truth for what it can be.
So it's 3 Ways Podcast, the number 3wayspodcast.com. And we'll have our schedule on there. We'll have access to all of the podcasts, our Instagram lives, and we are so excited to share what we're going to share. And it's going to be controlled chaos.
My hope is that people will watch this version of it, which is more of a contained, controlled setting. Hopefully the sound is a little better. And whatever we talk about in this controlled setting with the 3 of us, people will get interested and have comments and have questions. So when we go to Instagram Live, we can riff off this and really just keep the community rolling.
Share anything related to the content. So please, friends, don't feel shy. Text us about anything you want to know deeply.
We will counsel you online. We will hypnotize you online. We will chew on subjects that you agree or don't agree with. And anything goes. No topic is off limits.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll have no ice cream because they will have taken both.
It will be gone in 2 seconds.
Amazing. All right, you two. I'll see you all very soon. And we'll see all of you listening very, very soon.
All right. 3 Ways Podcast. We have to have a sign off. What do we say when we sign off?
Remember to fight for your values.
No, there's got to be a no. And remember, always look at life in 3 ways.
Beautiful. I agree with you.
Remember to always look at life from 3 ways. Yeah, I think that's a good one. What do you think?
We'll hold this in space and then we'll see what people come up with for us. A way to sign off every time.
All right.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Love you guys. We were too nice to each other.
Love you guys.
It felt strangely nice.